people say you're a hero. No. You know, you sitting on the porch and you're looking at little kids across the street going underwater. You go get them, you know. That's the thing to do.
None of the dispatchers that I know from any agency, including my own, ever looked at those lists, because if we had looked at a list of the missing, then we would know if any of the calls that we took, if those people did not make it.
I'm listening to 100-year-old timber sitting there breaking like toothpicks. Man, I thought we were gone. I just knew we were gone.
I've been in this house for every storm in my life, so I knew the house was safe. We knew it was going to be bad, but not as bad as it was. I mean, we had 9 people we started with. So there was 30 people here when the water went down.
We thought we were going to have regular flooding during the storm, and when we started getting calls that the flooding was above what was normal, we thought that it would stop there. And then we'd get another call and it would be higher, and we figured it would stop there. And it did not stop. It just continuously got worse and worse and worse. And we realized that some of these callers were not going to make it out of the storm alive.
You could feel the house shifting a little bit. And my mom hollered at me. She said, "Come see this." Well, the house that was on the right side of us, it was floating in the backyard. I mean, it was literally up against our house. At that point, we started to get a little frantic, and then my mom said, "Son, I got water on my feet." I'm like, we're done.
There was a house on the corner, had a Vietnamese family, and he kept watching the water, and I kept telling him, I said, you know, you need to get out, you need to get out. So finally, somewhere's around, I don't know, 4:30, I waded out and got the 2 little girls. It was about above your waist, the water. But I'd pick up one little girl and bring her back, and Joey would take her and bring her in, and then go get the other one. Then we got the mom and dad in here. It was, I don't know, somewhere's around 8:30. The guy next door started screaming out the window. He had a handicapped wife. She was kind of heavy-set lady and handicapped. He couldn't get her in the attic. And I remember carrying her, trying to get her back to the house, that the water was all the way up to your neck almost, and the debris that was under the water hitting you was tremendous.
Once they started getting bad, they were all bad. And we actually wrote down locations of where there were people. When we realized it was so bad that they may not make it, we made sure that we started getting names, how many people were in the house, and any messages that they wanted given to family members.
The last phone call I made was to 911, and I told Mom, I'm just calling them to let them know they're either going to be, to let them say, hey, somebody's in this house. Mom was sitting next to a mattress, and the mattress was floating, and bless her heart, look, the water's up to here on her. It's already under her chin. And they said, put her on the mattress. Well, I put the phone, left it on, I put it on top of a box that was floating next to me. And I went to push her up on the mattress, and she started hollering at me that she couldn't make it. She can't get up there. And I'm, no, this ain't happening. So I went under all the way, grabbed the bottom, and just literally shoved her up on top of that mattress so she landed. And I went to reach for the phone to let them know, you know, that I got her up there, and it got wet, dropped it, whatever. And bless their hearts, the last thing they heard, because all of them knew me over there, the last thing they heard was me hollering at Mom to get her up. But I feel in my heart right now, had I not made that call, there's no telling what would have happened.
If anybody had ever told me that I needed to be trained to tell people that we couldn't come get them, I would not have understood that. And we don't normally train for that. But we feel responsible for the well-being of our citizens. To this day, I feel guilty. And I do feel responsible. Internally, because we're supposed to help and send.
We stayed. The house survived. We watched houses float up and down the streets, and then the Blumbergs floated in somewhere around 11, hit the tree. I didn't know anybody was in it. But I told my daughter, I said, I know whose house that is because I recognize the siding. She was looking out the window by the TV and she said, Dad, there's somebody in that house. And I said, there's no way. She said, there's a man with a bandana on. And I said, there ain't no way. I said, the house went underwater. So when I come out and I was trying to get out the house, I was throwing the debris off the porch. Lou heard me and he hollered, hey. And I said, Lou. He said, I got my mama in here. I said, are you crazy?
I looked over there and I'm like, him and his brother-in-law, they took off. They came around and jumped over all the debris, everything. Michael and I went inside, grabbed my mom. Michael wouldn't let me touch her, man. He said, she's mine. That's another godsend right there, man. I don't know. That tells you something about the people on the point. That's for sure. I mean, even though Michael and I grew up together, no, I mean, there was no question about it.
The way the water was flowing through here is just incredible. And what it was knocking down. You know, just about every house on this point was 100-year-old houses, all made of wood. I honestly believe that if a lot of these houses down here would have been brick and concrete, a lot of them would have survived. I really believe that. But, you know, that wasn't the point.